Everyone my age remembers those terrifying anti-smoking commercials when you were a kid. You know, the ones that had the old people with no teeth or a hole in their throat? We were all kind of traumatized with those graphics, and everyone knew how bad cigarettes were for you. Even this one, which hasn't aged too well.
Or are they gay? It's okay to smoke.
Those anti-vaping ones were freaky too, and definitely worked on me. But tell me why, as soon as I came to college, I was shocked to discover that cigarettes were much more common among people my age than I had realized. Has the trend pendulum really swung all the way in the other direction?
But Lily, cigarette usage is at an all-time low right now.
While it may seem that cigarettes have left the scene, they are very much alive and well in the cultural zeitgeist among the youth online. An all-time low does not equal zero, and the media surrounding cigs online is doing more harm than good. These influencers posting with their packs are subconsciously advertising cigarettes to their impressionable followers. I'm sure if teens had not been exposed to smoking in the media they consume, we would absolutely have less smokers. It also feels like cigarettes seem to be the nicotine counterculture of the younger generations. Vaping has become so mainstream that cigarettes seem to be an inherent rejection of the norm, making them seem quote-unquote cool.
But cigarettes are cooler to me.
Oh yeah, they're like badass.
Cigarettes are so fucking cool.
They're
actually.
so cool.
It's so crazy, kids. They're cool.
Are cigarettes cool again?
Tastes good like a cigarette should.
People of my generation grew up in a world avidly anti-smoking, but many of our parents and grandparents did not. In 1964, almost 70% of the adult male population, as well as 1 in 5 teenage boys, were regular smokers in the US. For ladies, by 1970, around half of all American adult women smoked. The number of teenage female smokers doubled from 1968 to 1974.
It was, the end of the 60s, the late 60s, and everybody was happy, and we were all so excited. It was just like the best of times.
In 1964, the U.S. Surgeon General released a report that exposed the true harmful effects of smoking: aneurysms, heart disease, ulcers, respiratory issues, several different types of cancer. But even after the truth was revealed, big tobacco companies still chose to lie to the public. They knew what they were doing, but focused their marketing on a different target audience: kids. Kids are easy targets, young, impressionable consumers with lots of free time and free money. Big tobacco companies knew this and chose to actively spread misinformation to naive youth through the media that they consume. It's not like kids are going to be the ones reading the Surgeon General report. They're going to be watching cartoons and reading comics with not so subtle product placement and sponsorships. Even a former Marlboro advertising executive, Draper Daniels, admitted, "I don't think cigarettes ought to be advertised. I don't know any way of doing this that doesn't tempt young people to smoke, and in view of my present knowledge, this is something that I prefer not to do." They knew exactly what they were doing. As time passed, companies started advertising cigarettes as health products, specifically their new and improved packs with less tar and nicotine, and better filters. We obviously know with hindsight that these improvements did next to nothing in terms of healthiness, but advertisers were still able to make bank selling these lies to the gullible general public. Things seemed to be going well on TV until... The 1971 advertising ban basically prohibited the commercial advertising of cigarettes anywhere on cable television. This forced the tobacco industry to really invest in other areas in the print media sphere, leading to the introduction of this bad boy. I mean, look at Joe Camel. He's cool. You have to admit it, he's cool. He was universally appealing to pretty much every teenager. He has swag. A study from 1992 actually tested a bunch of cigarette advertisements against each other to see which one was the most popular among teens of different demographics, and Joe Camel came out on top every single time. Other advertisements had much more appealing things on them, like muscle cars or attractive women, but above all, Joe Camel was found to be the most appealing universally. Kids and teenagers love silly little anthropomorphic guys, and advertisers understood this. Through the medium of something as harmless as a camel with sunglasses playing pool, the youth were lured into consuming a product that hooked them in for years and years. Many of the young consumers at the time unknowingly cemented themselves as loyal smokers, as we all know how hard it is to quit. Eventually, anti-smoking PSAs and advertisements started popping up everywhere. These are what my generation grew up consuming. I even remember in school seeing anti-smoking posters in classrooms. However, a new foe has approached the youth smoking scene. CDC says that 1 in 6 high schoolers use a nicotine device on the daily, and that 85% of high school smokers prefer vape to any other form of tobacco consumption. They have also revealed that 90% of lung cancers can be traced back to smoking. However, since this happens after years of tobacco consumption, it's far too early to see the harmful effects on Gen Z. In 2019, tobacco companies spent $8.2 billion on marketing, especially towards young people. The tobacco industry has always targeted the youth, and aren't afraid to tell lies to the gullible audience. This time around, the main allure to the youth isn't a cute mascot or a hot babe. It's the flavor. Vapes nowadays come in fun flavors like strawberry kiwi, frozen creamsicle, and watermelon bubblegum, which all sound delicious and in cute, colorful packaging. Vapes have been turned into an accessory, a cute little trend to have in your pocket and in your mouth. These seemingly harmful, bright boxes are subtly doing irreparable harm to the adolescent bodies of the consumers, which is only making these companies millions of more dollars. However, I have seen the usage of cigarettes become more popular among Gen Z, especially on social media. The drunk cig culture, especially on TikTok, is active, with many of these videos getting hundreds of thousands of likes. Cigarettes have now returned to the cultural zeitgeist as cool or trendy through music like The Dare, Lana Del Rey, TV Girl, which are all artists hugely popular with Gen Z. Cigarettes are littered throughout the media we consume, and with the rise of streaming services, shows like Sex and the City, The Sopranos, and even Stranger Things are showcasing cigarettes to an even wider, impressionable audience. Watchers will want to be cool like Carrie Bradshaw, like smoking, and oftentimes, the viewers that idolize these characters are young kids and teenagers. Because of the advancements in technology, like streaming services and social media, we are essentially able to consume whatever content we want, whenever we want. We are constantly bombarded with depressing realities like climate change, war, and hatred all over social media now that everything is broadcasted online. And often, we try to cope with this sad reality through escapism like watching TV. There seems to be a level of apathy, unseen in generations prior, plaguing Gen Z, which could explain the carelessness of the younger generations putting in these deadly chemicals into their bodies in the name of the quote-unquote aesthetic. As of 2022, 42% of all Gen Zers were diagnosed with some sort of mental health condition, and roughly 8 in 10 people suffer from depression. 9 in 10 of those suffer from anxiety. The emphasis on being the most healthy has decreased, pushing more into who has the best or coolest personal aesthetic, which at the end of the day is just another means of social comparison. All this negative stimuli we are constantly receiving seems to have manifested as feelings of hopelessness and apathy towards the future. Gen Zers know that the earth is screwed, the economy's in the gutter, and there's not much we can do as the youth, with no money and no power, to change anything. This nihilistic worldview may be contributing to the uptick in cigarette usage, whether it be online or in real life. Teenagers and young adults are also emotionally stunted after the pandemic, leading us to feel even more of that angst we should be growing out of. Young people just don't seem to care about their futures as much as the older generations. There's much less optimism and a definite, I'm here for a good time, not a long time attitude. Big tobacco companies know that right now, they're losing the game. The older generations have seen firsthand the harm of tobacco and nicotine addiction, and have set laws and regulation in place to protect the youth. The thing is, Gen Z's situation is an extremely viable market for these companies. The culture has shifted, leading the industry to shift their tactics. We really don't know what's inside of a vape. These chemicals could be strawberry-flavored arsenic for all we know. We know that the tobacco industry has been lying to us for years, and it wouldn't be surprising if vapes, which were marketed as a safer alternative to cigarettes, are actually worse for you. Johns Hopkins revealed that vaping can actually cause pneumonia, a collapsed lung, and a plethora of other respiratory issues. The terrifying reality is that many teens are well aware that they have no idea what's in these vapes, but they don't care. They inhale these candy-flavored lung killers because if climate change doesn't kill us all, they might as well just do it themselves. The apathy for the present, as well as the nostalgia for the past, has caused Gen Z to turn back to the traditional ways of nicotine consumption, as seen on TikTok, Twitter, and Instagram. The longing for moments in history we never got to experience, mixed with a dissatisfaction for the present, seems to be a fatal concoction for the future of our generation. At this point, who knows what's next for the tobacco industry? As more scientific findings are revealed to the public, do they even matter anymore if the kids don't care how bad they are? People will likely always be smoking. We have been for thousands of years. The tobacco industry is like a virus. It keeps adapting and changing constantly. They've been able to lie to us time and time again, and yet we still keep having these new revelations about what is bad. The real question is, what else are they lying to us about?
I like the girls that do drugs, girls with cigarettes in the back of the club.